All right, you're welcome back. It's still the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM. It's time for Citizens Forum. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll be revisiting the Not Too Young to Run bill. Well, let me quickly take you down memory lane. Nigerians were clamoring for change, and they actually voted for change. Exactly 3 years ago, March 28, 2015, you will recall, Nigerians filed out to vote for this present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, have you seen the change? I think you better ask yourself and answer that question wherever you are. But talking about change, real change, Nigerians believe that the type of change that we want or that we need is gradually coming to the fore. Especially the youth who believe that the Not Too Young to Run bill, which was recently passed by about 25 state house of assemblies across the country. Actually, what the constitution requires is just 24 out of the 36 states House of Assembly. We have 25 passed it, and the National Assembly have also passed it, but it's still gathering dust on the table of Mr. President. He's yet to assent to it, and that is a very good sign to some people who believe that this is the way to go. This is the change that we need to actually pave the way and create a space for Nigerian youth to actually take a center stage of leadership. People will look at statistics, talking about 73% of young people who are restricted from running for office, even when eligible to vote. You have 51% of the population under 30 years, and only 2% are members of parliament across the state and, of course, at the federal level. This fact go a long way to puzzle the mind, but more puzzling is the fact that people between the ages of 20 and 44 make up 57% of the world's voting age, yet only 26% are members of parliament in different countries of the world. So it's a challenge all over. But you see countries like Canada, the UK, France, taking the bull by the horn, voting in presidents between the ages of 30, 35, and 40, 45. The situation is no different in Nigeria, as the required constitutional age for being elected as president or vice president was 40 years until relentless efforts of this present age assembly. Now, this bill ensures that young people have the chance to use the best times of their lives in service of the nation, as the age mark required by law to be members of parliament has been reduced from 30 years to 25 years as a member of the House of Representatives. Yes, you heard that right. If you want to become a member of the House of Representatives, 360 of them across the country, once you're 25 years and you're a man of substance, then you can actually vie. Or a woman of substance. This has no discrimination against any gender. Now, if you're also 35, if you're also 30 years, you can also be a member of the Senate. So it was 35 before, now it has been reduced to 30 years. This reduction of age wasn't limited to the legislature, but youth now have a chance to contest to become state governors at the age of 30, as opposed to 35 years formerly dictated by the Constitution, and also can aspire for the highest office in the land, that is the president, at the age of 35, as opposed to the 40 years benchmark earlier stated by the Constitution. Now, people will say, well, how much difference? How much difference are we actually getting so excited about if it has always been in the Constitution, Aghemerio, that 40 years a man or woman can become the president? So how come all those who have been canvassing for votes have always been in their 60s and 70s? So
that's a point that we all should look into. It's like we have 5 years difference, difference rather, on all. And I don't think we've ever had anybody who was 35 or 40 years old and who, vied for that president.
I was voted for.
And I'm not too sure we ever had anyone who was 35 who vied for the office of the governorship office and was voted for. I'm not sure anyone even came out for that.
But that throws up an issue, Aghemerio, that when we do have these people who are the youth championing for this not too young to run bill, we want to take over. We have the potential, we have the know-how, we have the experience, we can do it. They always file and queue behind a 57-year-old or 67-year-old or 70 plus old uh, candidate rather than pushing for one of them to actually take the ticket.
We should also, ask ourselves if Nigerians, all the Nigerian youth, are really
Ready.
ready, and do they really believe in their abilities and what they have? Do they believe in one another? Do they really think that they can get out there and make the change that is really required? That's another question, because it's another one thing to say that, okay, if you're 20, you're 25, you can go for this, and then other youth will say, yes, we believe in him, we know that he or she can. That's another issue that we need to look into.
Yes, and one other issue, just very close related to what you just said, is the fact that whether they believe they can do it, the little who believe they can, are they the best? Are the youth trying to put the best foot forward? Are they trying to present their best 11? Well, one man is championing this by registering a youth political party. You may want to call that. It's a modern democratic party, MDP, but he's saying that this should be the platform or the vehicle that should convey Nigerian youth to the promised land. That Nigerian youth need to come together and congregate in one single political party so that they can channel their strength, their teeming youth population, which is their voting strength, to actually effect this change. These are many more of what we're going to look at this morning on the Citizens Forum. We have in the studio a chartered accountant, a youth leader, and of course a politician who has spent a whole lot of years in the diaspora. But of course, he's also a prince of the additional clan of Ibara Kingdom. I'm talking of Prince Ayodeji Adesina. You're welcome to the Daybreak Show, Prince.
Thanks for having me.
Right, let's start with the bill itself, the Not Too Young to Run bill. When it started, it was pushed by Yaga and some other youth groups. A lot of people felt it was going to hit a dead end. It was never going to see the light of the day. But it did. How do you react to the fact that people were even skeptical up in issue about this bill, but now it has been passed?
Well, thanks for having me again. I was really excited when I heard about the bill, especially when I heard that the bill was passed into law. We have a lot of, we've been used to people taking the youth for granted in politics, in the political arena for so long. So even though some can argue that the age difference that was added to the bill is minute. It's just 5 years, from 30 to 25, from 40 to 30, and so on and so forth. But 5 years is a lot of time to have experience in politics. So when this bill was passed, it triggered a lot of excitement among the youths, and myself particularly, because I've always been politically inclined, and but not a lot of youths are, because they felt that the politics is meant for our fathers and those who call the elderly people, 50 years and above. And so when this bill was passed, it's a great accomplishment, and I know it's going to lead to the development of political arena and youths in general. So I was very excited about it.
Now, good. Apart from the excitement, people believe that the youth have always had the chance, but they've not actually showed up to actually grab this opportunity or seize the moment or seize the opportunity to present themselves for office. How would you react to this?
Well, to some extent, some youths have been given the chance, but what I've realized after taking an in-depth look into some of these youths that have been quote unquote given the chance is they've not been given the free hands to do what they know how to do. Most times you have a couple of youths that have political godfathers, or maybe their parents have been in politics for so long, and they're able to get some access into positions of authority, and most of the time they're being dictated to. This is how we do it. My child, just do this, do this. So they're just they're being used as fronts, and that's what happens most of the time. It's a different thing to be given a position. It's one thing to have the authority to act and do what you really
Talk
want to
about
do.
free hand.
Free hand.
Now that takes us to the issue of political godfathers. Godfathers, some people say, have come to stay in the Nigerian political climate. There's nothing you can do, according to some, to stop politicians from having godfathers. With this challenge of godfathers, do the youth even have a chance?
Yes, we do. To be honest with you, we have a lot to learn from our, godfathers, for lack of better word, to qualify them. We have a lot of things to learn from them. At the same time, we need to be independent of them to some extent. They're supposed to act as guidance, to guide us. When we're confused, we go to them for, because you can never trade experience. It's very, very important.
Especially in politics.
In politics, you can never trade experience. So I'm not saying we need to get rid of godfathers. In every society, even besides politics, you need people to guide you, and there's no better person to guide you than an experienced individual, which we call them godfathers. But at the same time, they need to give us free hands to do what we know how to do. They need to give us free hands to try our own ideas, because especially in this age of development and technology, a lot has happened and evolved that, with all due respect to our godfathers, they have no idea of what's going on to some extent. But so it has to be a hybrid of, a little bit of independence and a little bit of guidance from our godfathers. So it's not like we're going to get rid of godfathers, but whenever they give us a position of authority, they should give us free hands to exercise our ideas and try out our ideas.
Still talking on free hands, okay? Godfathers give us free hands. But what about the youth? How much free hand are the youth given to one another, and not to other youths who would want to, go into politics and also vie for these positions?
And that's a good point that you raised. It's a real challenge for this generation, especially because what I find out is we don't seem to support each other. We take each other for granted a lot. Especially when that's that young, you mean that young guy, you're running for office or you have a position of authority.
Why can't you just start with councillor?
Why can't you go and start from councillor? Like you you say you want to come into politics and you say you want to run maybe for House of Rep or Senate. And you'll be surprised your friends, your age mates are telling you, have you thought about this very well? Maybe why can't you start from being a councillor? Because we often feel like we're not qualified enough to take this position. So we look down on ourselves. And until we start, valuing ourselves as youths, as leaders of tomorrow, not only leaders of tomorrow, leaders of today. Because, from many of these people we have in leadership, they're technically retired. But they're not tired. They're not retired because we haven't given them we haven't given them enough confidence that to leave the stage. So when we step up to the plate, they probably look at us like, okay, I think my son can do a better job than I'm doing. Then they'll leave the stage. But until we start doing that, nothing is going to change.
Let's still talk about qualification, because you marked on qualification just now. What will qualify, a youth to vie for any of these top positions?
Okay. The first thing is your pedigree. You have the qualifications. It could be in form of education. It could be in form of experience. And when you're talking about experience, you have different kinds of experience. Do you have any idea of administrative experience? And that's where I'm going to come in and advise us as youths. We've had a couple of youths come out now for the first time to run for president. I don't want to mention names, but
No, you can.
yeah, well, somebody like Fela Tobi, you know, he's technically he's still a youth. I know him very well. Um,
You have the publisher of Sahara Reporters. Also.
yeah, sure.
I'm only sure.
Yeah, but I've had some people ask about their qualifications in terms of administrative experience, and it's not just administrative. Political experience matters too.
When did you join politics?
When did you join politics? It takes a lot of, it takes beyond, I just want to rule. I want to win elections to win an election. There are lots of intrigues and tricks in politics. Do these people have it? Or are they just going to waste their time? Goodwill alone don't win elections. I just want to do good alone is not enough to win election. Do you have the structural experience? Do you have the party structure? How do you want to dominate the party from which you want to get a ticket? And after you get the ticket, how do you want to win the general election? Those are political experience that are needed. The administrative experience, have you ever, what kind of organizational outfits have you run before? Have you been in charge of anything beyond yourself, your children, and maybe your wife? Do you have some kind of business experience? How many people have you supervised before? What kind of style do you have when it comes to leadership?
Or finances?
Finances is a very big one too. Unfortunately, it's if you're talking about politics, you're talking about money. Unfortunately, whether we want to admit it or not, it takes a lot of money to penetrate the political scene in this country. Not in this country, everywhere.
Now let's talk about political experience. Let's talk about finances or money to run it, and let's look at a 25-year-old, vying for and going for House of Representatives. When would you advise, or at what age do you think anyone could get into politics to start, garnering the experiences the person will need in politics, one, and then money, without falling back on the godfathers that we talked about earlier? Is it possible for a 25-year-old to get the actual, that kind of money he or she will need to vie?
Well, I don't believe in impossibilities to start with. But having said that, we need to be realistic. So I'm not going to discourage anybody, a 25-year-old that wants to become a senator or perhaps the president of the country. But having said that, I would advise the typical 25-year-old that we expect to think of something. Do you have what it takes to achieve your ambition, or you just want to make noise and make a name? Now, when you're 25 years old, I can imagine how much money you have without having a godfather. So, not just money. I can imagine how much experience you have. So, if you say you want to run for governor of the state or president of the country and you're 25 years old, we need to take into consideration certain things like, okay, do I even have enough money to create awareness for my candidacy? It takes a lot of money. If you want to be president of the country, you're talking about 36 states. And some states have up to 30 local governments. So multiply that. And you have to penetrate each of those states and local governments and have coordinators there. Have campaign offices in each of those states.
Have party and poll agents.
You have party and poll agents in each of those things.
So print paraphernalia.
Don't let us even talk about the what it costs to get the ticket for the primary from your party. You know, let's talk. So many things. There's so many things involved. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned about somebody that's not been in politics before, or I kind of have an idea of how much he has, and he says he wants to become the president of the country without having a godfather. Now, I'm not encouraging having a godfather. What I'm encouraging is you evaluate yourself and your resources at your disposal. And I would just advise after you do a proper evaluation, maybe you need to go for a position that corresponds to the result of your evaluation, the result of the evaluation of yourself. So if you're not able to penetrate one local government, the one you're living in, and you say you want to become the governor of the state, I mean, you're not being realistic with yourself. So we need to put a lot of things into consideration before we decide, okay, I want to go and run. I know the law enables us to run now at the age of 25, but we need to cut our coats according to our size so that we don't just start a jamboree that will abuse the privilege.
And make people to say that we are not ready.
Now,
you talked about finances. That is very, very key. But should it always be about money? We have talked about money bags hijacking the political space. If the youth are also, in a way, disenfranchised by their lack of financial power, how then will this bill work?
Okay. When we talk about money, there's the dream you have, and there's the reality on ground. Okay, most of us youths, we want to join politics and run for political offices, and many of us are just not noisemakers on Facebook. To be honest with you, the realities of ground are quite different from what the idea that we have. I'm a politician, and I know the ideas I used to have before I eventually jumped on the field. And the realities I found on the field of politics are very, very different from the intentions I had. I thought I was going to come and start talking about the good things I plan to do. We're going to do infrastructure. Why can't we have these great ideas so that we can accomplish these great results? But when you get on the field, you find out that the people that actually vote
don't want to listen to you.
Not like they don't want to listen to you. They have more serious problems than what your ideas are. The problems we call primary problems: food, shelter, and health, and clothing. They have those problems. They're not going to listen to you with all your phonetics, and all the bridge to heaven you have in mind that you think you can put somewhere, and the good houses and the good, these people, they're worried about what they're going to eat right now. Now, with that in mind, you're going to have to adjust your strategy. And all these things, imagine you gather 1,000 people. You say you want to address a gathering of 1,000 politicians. You throw out the invitation. I promise you, by the time they come, you're going to find out that 90% of them are elderly women who have serious social primary needs. Perhaps some of them are hungry and they've not eaten the whole day. So you gather 1,000 people, 90% of them are 65 years or older, looking for what to eat. And you want to start talking to them about all this great plan of, forward, retirement plan that you have in mind, how we can do this sophisticated stuff. My friend, you better get them some rice to eat first before they can listen to you. Otherwise, a money bag will just come behind you
and hijack them
with 2 bags of rice and call them and say, let's go home to eat. And you'll be left there in the sun by yourself, talking to nobody. So it's got to be a combination. You got to be smart about all these things, and that's my advice for some of us that are youths, particularly the ones out of the country who are a little bit out of touch with realities on ground. I'm not saying come home and practice what you call amala politics, but you have to be ready to, first of all, meet some primary social needs before you can be given the attention to to go further.
This takes me to a general problem that is not only limited to youth participation in politics. The peculiarity of the situation you're talking about, and the fact that even the people, the led now, the followers, are culpable when it comes to the maladministration and misgovernance that have pervaded the space for years. Because instead of them to ask for potable water in their community, they're asking for a bag of rice that will be shared among, let's say, 50 people. So maybe people just go home with maybe just one derica. Some people just get maybe 2 liters of granite oil and palm oil, and they get maybe 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira on top. Now, are they not culpable when we talk about the inefficiency of ruling parties, of government in power, and of course the lack of these infrastructures that many people always come to say they want to deliver to the people?
Well, your question is it's a little bit complicated, to be honest with you, because when you have a cup of water that has half, it could be that has, it's half, it could be half empty
full or half empty.
You know, um, if you're hungry, you don't judge people unless you're in there, unless in their position or condition, or you experienced it before. I don't think it is their wish. I don't think it's what they wish for. That all they want from politics is just one derrick of rice. But you know what? When you're hungry, there's an adage in Yoruba that says, when you're hungry, nothing else penetrates. Okay? So it's a revolving door. You can't answer that question until you have what we call a social, what do they call it? Like a social plan that takes care of those things. In a situation where unemployment is high, even when they work, sometimes they don't get paid, and they have kids to take care of besides themselves, and they're hungry, they're going to ask for what we call the primary needs first. So if we have a system in place that takes care of that, then we can start looking at, okay, the culpability of their actions. For instance, in most civilized countries, they have a safety net. If you're unemployed, or if you get an unemployment check. It may not be enough to take care of all your needs, but it will be enough to get you milk and bread. Okay? If you're homeless, you have a safety net that gives you a house, somewhere to live in. You have, even besides government, you even have private institutions that build shelters here and there. But in our country, we don't have all those things. So it's a little bit difficult to put the blame on those who are asking for one derica of rice instead of more sophisticated infrastructure. So I'm not going to come on here and just condemn people, but like going back to my initial point, we youths that intend to rule and occupy positions of power, we have to come with the approach that is all encompassed. It's got to be a hybrid.
Now, let me take you back to the point of youth congregating themselves in one political party. Would that be ideal? Because you find out that, just like yesterday, Anek is saying that the youth, it's possible that in 2019 we might be having about 80 political parties contesting the election. Definitely there will be youth in all these parties. Which would you prefer? Which is more desirable? That the youth use their strength in each party to hijack, in quotes, the platforms to present themselves for different offices, or they pull out of these parties and congregate themselves in one political party where they can exert their strength, their potential, and qualities, just like you have in the MDP that was specifically uh, tagged a youth political party?
Um, I'm going to break this question down into two parts. There's the short run aspect and there's the long run aspect. It's just like a business model. You're trying to open up a business. Do you want to make all your money back within 10 months? Or do you want to go for a little time? And that depends, and that's going to determine the amount of the type of investment you choose. Um, Obviously, if you want like something right now, you want to 2019. We're already in 2018, right?
Yes.
So if you wake up this
We're
morning,
already in the election year.
yeah, if you wake up this morning and you decide, you know what, maybe I want to go for House of Assembly or I want to become the governor, I would really advise you to consider joining an existing party. Because I mean, like I said, I don't believe in impossibilities, but you have to be realistic. Your chances of starting a new party today and creating enough awareness, even the legal hurdles in establishing parties, I don't think you're going to cross much of it
The election proper.
before the election proper. So in the short term, if you're a youth thinking of contesting for a position of authority, I would advise you try and join one of the existing parties. And in case of next time, don't just wait till the last minute before you get politically active. It takes, to be honest with you, with my experience, it takes about 1 year before these real voters take you serious. Before they even consider you a serious candidate. They want to see you, they want to feel you, they want to know that okay, you're consistent. Because more often than not, what people do is they just show up at the last minute. I want to be this, I want to be that. Once they don't get a ticket or they lose general election, they go back to to where they're coming from. Now you have to be consistent. President Buhari won election at this, is it third or fourth?
The fourth trial.
The fourth trial. So you have to be consistent, and there's nothing wrong in starting a new party that's going to be, you know, um, created and, you know, dominated by youths. But youths alone are not going to win election. So don't let us get carried away with all this youths.
Because youth alone are not going to be the voters.
The youth alone are not going to be the voters.
Now, let's talk about the attitude of the youth towards electioneering campaigns and even on election day. If truly we have low voter turnout on election day, across the country, we've never recorded 50% voter turnout. In fact, 2015 election was the highest in the history of the country. Um, Now, when you talk about voter turnout, how come the youth are not using their population to come out en masse on election day to vote for a particular candidate that they think is young, vibrant, and can actually uh, deliver on the youthful promise on a much national scale?
Well, there are lots of issues that are directly related to that. One of them is the myth that your vote does not count. The average youth believes, oh, they're just going to do what they're going to do. They're going to stuff all the ballots anyway. Why do I need to waste my time and go and vote? That's one. The second one is sometimes we're just too occupied with some of the things we're doing. The youthful exuberance. Some are just busy. All they want to do is make money. They want to be billionaires by a certain age. So they believe politics is a distraction. And one of the um, reason for that, we believe politics is, and these things are changing for the better. I'm just saying these are the things that we used to think that's responsible for some of the things you're saying about low political participation.
Yeah,
Voter
especially on
turnout.
election day.
Yeah. They believe, some of them believe politics is a dirty job. It's meant for the people who have money. If you're not a thug that can shoot guns, or you're not rich, and you can buy votes, we have the tendency to believe politics is not for you.
So many of them just have that apathy.
Yeah, they have the apathy for politics, and some of those things are changing because they're beginning to see that everything you do is directly connected to politics. You can't stay idle sitting somewhere. You can't stay and wait and you expect miracles to happen. And they're beginning to see that many people that eventually get to these offices are not actually smarter than they are. And
Now, before we go on the break for the national news, I want you to quickly answer this question. Are you optimistic that in 2019 elections we'll be seeing a lot more of youth under the age of 45 being voted into office as governors, members of House of Rep, as senators, and also House of Assembly members?
I'm very, very optimistic. I think we're going to see um, the type that we've never seen before. It's not going to be 100%, but it will be a right step in the right direction. And I see a lot of increase in political um, in political activities from the youth's age. I belong to a couple of WhatsApp group. I mean, the response I'm seeing, the dedication and the determination I'm seeing, it's very encouraging. And I believe we're going to see a lot of, not just now, but it's going to be a lot of improvement in the level of participation. I really believe that.
I hope, Mr. Adesina, many of these people on this WhatsApp group and on social media have their PVCs.
I hope
so
so
they
too.
don't limit their agitations and arguments on social media.
And those are the things. So those are some of the things we talk about too on some of this social
Because
media.
they must have their PVC.
We sometimes they yab each other to the point that they snapshot their PVC and post it. And post it like I'm not just somebody throwing phonetics on Facebook.
I have my PVC.
I have my PVC.
I have my power.
I have my power. Yeah.
All right, we've got a break now for the national news at 10. When we come back, we'll still be here in the studio with Prince Ayodeji Adesina, a youth leader, a politician, and a chartered accountant. Stay with us, we'll be back. I'm telling. All right, you're welcome back. It's still Citizens from on the Daybreak Show. This beautiful Wednesday morning, the 28th of March 2018. What we're looking at this morning has to do with the Not Too Young to Run bill passed by the 25 state House of Assemblies in the ongoing constitutional amendment, and also passed by the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Representatives. What's yet to be assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari. But of course, it gives hope to many young Nigerians who have the potential, who have the experience, and who have the vision and dream to actually take leadership positions and effect change in their respective domains and constituencies. We are looking at this with the challenge of leadership, and we have in the studio an accountant, a youth leader, and a politician in person of Prince Ayodeji Adesina. Well, if you want to be part of the discussion, yes, you can call the studio lines. You can also send in your contributions as messages. 32120 is the shortcut number. You have to type rock, leave a space, type your message, include your name, and send to 32120. You can also reach us on Twitter at RockCityFM is the Twitter handle. And our Facebook fan page remains Rock City FM 101.9. The numbers to call are 0809 868 7344 and 0909 146 9670. Remember, if you're calling, you have to turn on the volume on your radio set, give us your name, tell us where you're calling from, and then go straight to the point. 2 minutes allotted to each caller. No insults. No coming up with claims that you cannot substantiate. Don't leave the substance of the issue and pursue any agenda, be it ethnic, political, or religious. We must be very sensitive and decorous in our submissions. All right, let's start with the calls. Yes, let's start with the calls, and then we'll come to the messages.
Hello. Hello. Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning. All right, Keshiro.
that gladdens one heart, saying that the bill to recognize the youth for the position of authority in Nigeria is on the way. It's a good news. But however, there are some challenges that you have said that will be impediment. That will be impediment for youth being leaders of this country. One of those impediments is finance, as they have rightly said, and the party on which platform one is going to vie for the position. And I think this is what we need to ruminate about. How are we as youth going to form a platform to bring ourselves into the position of authority? We are sponsoring ourselves. I think, the youth of this nation, some of us are very rich, but the challenge is the Nigerian system of policies is very, 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 very wrong. Not until everything is being changed that, but I'm optimistic also. But what are the solutions? I want you to bring the solutions, those ways that we are going to make it so that we can get to that position. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And my sister Aghemerio.
Good morning. Good morning. I can hear you.
The Tobi let you to know that I am sick because we would like you to give us the best answer ever. Same pastor. You said political. I don't know how to speak. Okay, let me start from there. Please, where will you see a 25 years old or what will qualify them to be? That have finished school, that will have the strength. Don't you think that we will be expecting 21, 22 when it started before it can be able to become occupy the seat of Senate or whatever? And secondly is that we are talking about when we start. We never talk the age where to stop. We are talking about young youths today. The young youth we are talking about, please help me to go back then and do not do controversy. Tell me the age. And when you talk about our former president, hello?
Yes, sir, we hear you, Daddy. Go ahead.
We talk about the we talk about our Muslim, our governor, who has been in two terms now, which has one said. And we talk so many, we write the first alarm, he will pass the governor. When did this start? When he's talking about this thing, not just because of the age or whatever. Any problem is making them rule it, then do this thing, the system, then used to rule us. It's something that those political people are going to put their children to be able to govern us or whatever. So, brother, you know about that. It is only that time you'll be seeing a gun be shouting like a Christmas gift. It is only when they'll be killing people. Let me not go beyond that, because if I go beyond that, it's going to be among the hate speech. As many people lost their lives in Lagos State for past 2-3 years because of the issue of that. May God help Nigeria. If you can answer now, I'll be happy. My name is Big Daddy.
Big Daddy, what's your question again? Big Daddy, hello.
I think Big Daddy is trying to say that haven't we given the youth the opportunity and went on to sites?
He didn't ask any
from the People's Parliament in Abeokuta. Tobi, after that. To tell you that unless we try to shape the political atmosphere in this country, each party finds it very difficult to get to the position of authority. So for instance, if you are going for primaries in any political party, you need a lot of money to keep engaged. You need a lot of money. I mean, they use that just left the university probably at the age of 22. I think that's short. Unless you change the whole system, make everything to be so accessible, not the political party, take the public political free of charge, campaign free of charge, let people vote for you free of charge. I'm telling you, you will get everything. It is by the time the man of nobody becomes somebody in this country, then we can get it right. Let me allow that people to call gentlemen. God bless you, people over there. God bless my dear Honorable Ayodeji.
Thank you.
Tobi, I greet you. I greet my sister there. And Prince, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Ayodeji from Abeokuta. Youth and then the position of leadership. Let me say, first and foremost, we have not been able to discover that we have youth that could be able to do it. But even some people have mentioned that we have youth haven't been able to have taken us so far. But unfortunately, they have let us down because we keep growing every day. Nobody can remain youth forever. But if we could, hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
Our constitution, we need to treat it to discard the military constitution. Let us go for a constitution that will be democratic enough to be able to discover and then give.
Oh, we're sorry.
should I pick a call more? We
Yes,
have his
let's just have the reactions of Prince.
Okay. I'd like to start from the more like a question from the first caller. Basically, he was trying to ask us to provide solutions to how youths can start have a platform to vie for offices and positions of authority. And it goes back to the question you asked earlier, like, um, do we join an existing party or do we start one? And I think the caller made more emphasis on actually starting one that would be more like a youth-dominated party. I just need to make some corrections too. I did a while ago. While we're focusing on youths, we have a lot of youths that are eligible to vote, that are not participating in politics. We need to improve those numbers, and I think that's what this is all about. But we should also not get carried away with the idea that it's just youths that can deliver themselves or each other. We're still going to need the rest of the demographics of the voting population to support us to get to where we're going, including some of these our fathers and elders that have been there that don't want to leave, to be quite honest with you. So to answer the question, there's no one size fits all answer to the question. It's good, there's so many things that needs to be done to get to where we're going. One of them is to make sure that we start from the grassroots. I mean, it's okay to make noise on Facebook. It's okay to join WhatsApp groups. It's okay to to do all this nice stuff from the comfort of your rooms. But we need to go out and go on what we call the field. Go to start from your ward, if possible your zone. Many of us youths don't even know the democratic setup that exists. We just want to speak good English on social media. Many people, you're talking about PVC. That's even they now know about PVC. Ask them where their ward is. Many of them don't know. They don't know the leaders of their wards, and that's where many of these ideas. That's where they germinate from. And when they send orders from above too, that's where it lands at the ward level. So we need to first of all try and go out of the comfort of our homes and go to join some wards, join a ward, join organizations where you talk about real problem and you meet real people. People that will shape your ideas and how you can approach to get to where you're going. And
Yes.
okay, yeah. So we need to start from there. Another one is you need to accommodate our weaknesses. Many of us, due to the youthful exuberance that still exists in us, we're very active and agile, and we seem to have very little patience, even for ourselves, among ourselves. Like I don't want to have anything to do with Tobi. He has a big mouth. You know, we need to accommodate ourselves. Until we accommodate ourselves, we can't get together and achieve a goal. So if I know Toby has a weakness, maybe I need to think of how I can help him. How I can cover up those weaknesses so that we can work together as a team. And he made specific reference to finances. Well, and he actually said many of us youths are rich, and that is true. If you look at how much, if you consider the amount of money that's being spent on alcohol
and women,
and I'm not condemning anybody for drinking alcohol. I'm just making a reference to it because we're talking about finances. So it's not like we don't have the money. Sometimes there are enough finances we can put together amongst ourselves to start to actually be more dominating than some of these quote unquote money bags that tend to dominate the scene politically. So we need to make sacrifices, financial sacrifices. It's going to cost a little bit of discomfort. All those trips to Dubai, I'm not saying don't go, but think of some other people beyond yourself, your children and families. And when you start to look at it from that point of view, you start to develop the necessary interests that leads to development politically, and that will benefit the society. And I bet you when you try to do those things and you start seeing the result, you'll be happy with yourself. Like instead of going to Dubai 5 times in a year, maybe cut it down to 2. And invest some of those money in the society. Another thing is we need to sensitize the voters and even ourselves. Instead of gathering around and talking about some other things that are not really doing us good. How about we talk about development? Talk about recent affairs. How's our governor doing? How's our senator doing? What's going on in the House of Rep? What's going on at the National Assembly? By the time you start to talk about it, you start to develop interest in those things. Like, okay, then you start to have ideas, and you start to voice out your ideas. A 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. You just little things, tangible things that we need to do but a lot of it has to do with setting the right mind frame. And that goes back to the point another caller was making, where he said that a lot of youths have occupied positions of authority and have basically messed up. And that is true. But I don't like to blame some of those people because you don't know the conditions under which they operated. Some of these conditions are not very, very pleasant. Somebody puts you in position of power and give you the parameters that basically strangulate you it defines you to a very fine line. Ayo, I'm going to give you this position, but the only thing I want you to do is just to say this, and that. Don't talk about this, don't talk about that. And so everybody is looking at Ayo, and Ayo is the director of this place, is the governor of this country, of this state, he administers this office. Why can't he make better decisions than he's making?
And affect people's life.
Yeah, exactly. And how many people do I want to say that my Oga doesn't want me to do that? He only puts me here to spite somebody. So sometimes we don't need to. We don't know under the times. We don't know the terms and conditions under which people are working. And one thing I would just advise our youths: it is not every opportunity that is worth taking. An opportunity that won't bring out the best of you, you may actually have to let it go and wait for another turn that you can actually do what you want to do. Many of us are just anxious to get into power, and many of us just want power for the wrong reasons too, the wrong frame of mind. How much is that position? How much am I going to make in 4 years? And we need to stop seeing politics as a business transaction. Like if I put 1 million naira into it,
I should be able to get 20
I should be able to
million.
get 20 million.
By the time I spent 2 years.
2 years. So,
but you know that's an issue. A lot of people see politics or political office as a get rich quick uh, scheme. Should that also be a factor that the youth need to work on before they present themselves for political offices? Because some are saying it's okay, the youth are now seeing it as an opportunity to get rich or get ahead of their peers.
yeah, definitely, we need to reorient ourselves to the point that we know that politics is not just for lunch. It's not just a means to an end. Personally, it's a means to serve. Yeah, I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that there are certain perks that come with some of these offices
Yes.
that can make you a little better than what you are right now. But that shouldn't be the real motive of why you want to go to that position. I always advise that before you join politics, it's something you need to take seriously, but you also need to have. When you introduced me as an accountant, right?
Yes.
Before being a politician. And that's something we need to look into too. It's not supposed, as much as we want to indulge in get involved in politics and get into the nitty gritty of political activities. I would advise the average youth to have a career besides politics, because when you have a career and means of another means of livelihood,
To be easy.
it will be easy.
And you will
Things won't be shoved
yeah.
through your throat like I just want you to be a counselor, and your counselor, what you're going to do is just abuse somebody. I just want to go and fight somebody in that office. And they pay you. You're thinking of the salary, and then you start taking positions you normally wouldn't take, and start doing activities that are really against what you believe in. So if you have a job and you're self-sustaining, you see politics as okay, it's just something I need to do to better myself and the society, and that helps a lot.
All right, let's quickly add the tweets and messages. Let me start with the short messages. Abdurashid Okela from Abeokuta sent in this message. I'm watching the trend of the next political dispensation in Ogun State 2019. Is Yewa ready for governor? When I'm talking about youth rotting away in prisons nationwide, it is not all youth. Look at Right Honorable Dimeji Bankole, who is trusted and competent. Youth from Egba, Tumabembashu, a vibrant and ready youth from Ijebu. Who can we point out to be acceptable from Yewa? It was on this station I advised Senator Yabo Anishulowo on what they must do if truly Yewa Lumashi. Alright, good talk by the guest to the House. Getting into positions through elections require adequate planning and pragmatic involvement with the people. Youth should know that Rome was not built in a day. It takes time for an unknown political aspirant to break into the heart of the electorate. Gino Yegmone from Elega sent in that. Prince additional, when and where did you join politics? Because I know you are one of the top contenders in Abeokuta constituency. Do you think our youth have enough resources to pursue this goal? That's how good Adafa me from Ake. I greet you all and the honorable politician in the studio. I greet you. Please, I want to say that until the youth of this country rise up and get determined to take responsibility and shun taking peanuts from politicians before voting, then we are going nowhere. And until Nigerian lawmakers and the judiciary enact digital voting and are allowed to be independent in the discharge of their duties, then we are just playing in the political field. Money and popularity can be limited. Chike from Ijai sent in that.
All right, going through the tweets we have here, Father De Kudus tweeted, why not, once they have produced a good leader that can handle the job, what we need is a vibrant leader who is capable to do the job. Zechariah Olubayo Tanigbola also tweeted, "It is better for us to allow the youth to rule now. I am referring to faithful and serious youths that are intelligent. The aged politicians should go on retirement and back the new ones without a sign of selfishness." And away from that, Oluwaseun also tweeted, "This bill is enforced over the years but not pronounced, considering the ages of those that had ruled this nation. Leadership is not a factor of age." Iduwola Mileko Boss tweeted, "Good morning. The not too young to run bill, not to rule, but to run bill should be quickly assented to or should be quickly assented to by the president. The youth are tired of a grandpa's ruling. It's high time we rose up." And we got this from Iduwola Mileko Still. Some countries across Europe have presidents at the age of 35 to 49. Why can't we have this kind of system? It shows that the grandpas won't give up on political or government offices. Comrade Majid tweeted, "The guest has spoken well. How do you expect a hungry man to listen to you with your life-changing manifestos when his stomach is in disarray under a scorching sun and a bag full of rice is being shared on the next street?" We got this tweet from Saka Raman Olayode, and it says, "Kudos to Honorable Adesina. I can feel a good breeze and good change about our politics only if a youth change their mentality. God bless Niger." And this came from Yumida Vinci. "I agree that we need a lot more youth engagement in politics, but I don't agree with the narrative of those who pushed the not too young to run bill. Being a youth in power does not confer competence nor level-headedness needed to be a good leader." Still from Yumida Vinci, "Look at our student unions across the country. Are they better run than the country itself? Rotimi Amechi was 32 years old when he became a speaker in Rivers State. What significant sustainable change has he achieved in governance?" Comrade Majid tweeted again, "Youth do have a stake in the polity of the land. Or the needful has to be done first. We need to start by making the current politicians accountable for their deeds and not just by blabbing on the social media alone." Sakaraman Olayode tweeted again, "Also, our leaders should stop pinking mentality. Let the youth vote for their choice. It's not all about pinking or gas sokwe. Leaders sokwe should stop now." Okay. And we got this from Comrade Majid. "Youth must attend meetings at the wards and communities gathering. That's where the mantle is let. Okay, that's where the mantle is. Let your voice be heard at the grassroots and allow your actions to speak. Don't just text and make videos on social media." All right, those are the tweets I got here for now.
All right, so let's take a few more calls and then I will wrap it up for us this morning on the show. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, Aghemerio. Good morning, the speaker in the house.
Good morning.
All right. Dr. Nkom, can you switch off your radio set?
Okay, just hold on a moment.
Yes.
Yes, I'm out of the reach.
All right, go ahead.
Yes. So what I'm saying is this, that we talk of the youth takeover. Tell me any country in the world where they say, old men, don't contest, so let youth come and contest. So tell me any nation which that happens. No, tell me. Those things don't happen like that. There is no country which says only the youth can contest. Even the so-called non-youth, do they all have equal rights even to governance? You are assuming that if you are not a youth, you can contest. The answer is no. Before you can contest, you must be relevant. If people talk about Macron, they don't know that Macron was the Minister of Finance for some years. Minister of Finance of a NATO country for some years before. Forget about the age of 49. Macron is 49 years old by birth. Macron is about 60 by chronological. You talk of that age. He's not a young man, in that sense. So No, the one even in what is it, Yugoslavia, somewhere, there's another one there. These people have been in politics for a long time. We are not talking of WhatsApp. We are not talking of Facebook. I will not give my life to a youth who cannot even tell me anybody at the age of 25 who is married and has children. You are not married. You don't have children. Want to come and preside over people who even have polygamous homes, and you tell me because they are youth. How many of them come out of school? How many of them can even start up houses? Youth are rich from where? What do they do? Not from Yahoo. So they are getting from their daddies. Very few of them can come into that. So let us leave it. Let us talk of women. Why are we not even talking of women being allowed to political, which is an easier thing? When the time comes, they will go inside it. You to go and become adults. Please let us not stretch this thing too far. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nkom. Let's take one more call. Then we take the final reaction from Prince Adesina.
Lost that call. While we are with that call, we got some tweets here. Still, Sakaraman Olayode. Also, our leaders should stop. Okay, I'm sorry, Comrade Maji. Youth must attend meetings at the wards and communities gathering. That's where the mantle is. Let your voice be heard at the grassroots and allow your actions to speak. Don't just text and make videos on social media. Yemi Da Vinci tweeted, I must correct the notion that Fela Durotoye and Yele Showore are youth. Tobi, they are on their late 40s or they're in their late 40s. If they had their first child at 18, they will be grandfathers now. And we got this from Samu 163. Another factor is religion. Let's remove God from governance. Religion is about you, not about me. It is to be personal. Remove religion now. Still from Samu 163. Who are the youth? Chief Obasanjo and Gowon governed Nigeria in the 30s. Senator Obasanjo, Amosun rather, became senator in his 40s. Dimeji Bankole became speaker in his 30s. What we need is platform setting. Let's stop money politics and winner takes all. And still from Samu 163. How can someone invest huge money on campaign and be expecting him or her to do anything than road infrastructure? Nobody can get to anywhere in politics without spending money. Therefore, we should not expect that we want from them.
All right, on our WhatsApp group, Solomon and Ila Lobo posted this. If the youth mobilize, they can win. As you know, the youth make up of 65% of Nigeria's population. It is more or less a deliberate effort by the political class to keep the youth unemployed and in poverty, so that they will continue to do the bidding of the elderly. But things are changing. Prince Ayodeji Adesina, your final submission because of our time. A lot has been said, and it all comes of the opinion that we are just overflogging the issue. Many of the so-called youth have nothing to show as an achievement at the age of 25 and 30. Others, on the other hand, believe that it is a deliberate plan by the political class to keep the people unemployed or underemployed and even in poverty so that they can continue to have their way. How would you react to this?
Well, there's an element of truth in some of those assertions, but there are always two sides to
A coin.
It's true that leadership is not just being about being youthful. One caller even argued that Fela Durotoye and Showore are no longer youths. And that brings us to another point. What's even the age bracket? What's the age limit for the term youth? I mean, I'm going to leave that to those who specialize in psychology to flog that issue out. Not today, but I mean that's something we need to think about too. If you're in your 40s, are you still considered? I've had some people tell me I'm not going to vote for anybody that is older than 40 years old. And the question is, will you just now vote for somebody just because he's under 40?
Because he has something.
Or because he has something. I think a lot of us are getting the wrong perspective of this bill. It's not the idea of the bill, the motive of the bill is not to restrain people who have the experience and older than the average age that we used to. It's not trying to lock them out of governance. It's just trying to create a level playing field for youths to engage in politics. And that's where we need to get our conclusions right. It's not, the idea of the bill is not just to say, oh, from now on let's just vote for people that are under 40. No, it's just the playing field has not been equal before now. It used to be, how old are you? How do
Where are you from?
Where are you from?
Who is your father?
Who is your father? So that's I think they're just trying to, the purpose of this bill from National Assembly is just to create a level, equal access. Don't feel bad because you're young and you cannot aspire. And that's where we need to refocus our conclusion on the bill.
All right, thank you very much, Prince Ayodeji Adesina, a chartered accountant, and of course a youth leader and politician. We thank you for honoring our invitation this morning on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, all those who called, those who sent messages, those who tweeted, and those who just quietly listened and enjoyed the show. We appreciate every one of you. Tomorrow is another day and another time for us to cross-pollinate ideas on our socio-economic and political developments. I am Tobi Joseph. Have a wonderful day.